80s in the car world were marked by the arrival of Japanese cars as the mainstream choice. Their quality improved a lot, which drove a lot of customers, which also drove their price down, so they started taking over the world. Those are major brands like Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Mitsubishi, and in Europe it was arrival of performance cars, Lamborghini Countach, Ferrari Testarossa, Volkswagen Golf GTI, then BMW 3 Series established itself as the statement of excellence. Then it was the era of Group B rally racing, which was dominated by Audi Quattro. And the first car on my list is a future classic. It is Jeep Cherokee. It was revealed in 1984. It was the first SUV off-roader that was refined enough to serve as a family car with its compact dimensions, lightweight unibody construction, and new styling, new design. And it was so successful that it was stayed on the market for 17 years until 2001. And what's really remarkable is that when there was a time to replace it with the second generation, they actually launched this new second generation as the separate model and the separate segment that was Jeep Grand Cherokee. So there's still many of them on the road as daily drivers, but the price is going up, and it is relatively simple car to fix, and its simplicity gives its own reliability, and that's really what makes it so special. Okay, the next car is Acura Integra. It is the first generation with pop-up headlights. It was introduced in 1986 through 1989. It was not the most celebrated or acclaimed as the following two generations. It only had the 1.6 liter engine that produced 113 horsepower, but it was enough. It was reliable for its time, especially because it is Honda, and design was well ahead of its time. Just look at it. The car, you can tell that it's from beginning of end of 90s or even beginning of 2000s. This is how well ahead the design was of. So it's really worth finding one. The next car is Audi Quattro that was in production from 1983 through 1985. It was the performance car that proved that it's not always necessary to have 8 or 12 cylinder engines. It only had a 5-in-line turbocharged engine that was paired with four-wheel drive system that actually gave the name to this car. And what's really interesting is that Audi took all of this feedback from rally racing and put it into production car that created this legend, helped Audi to become what it is, what we know Audi is these days. The value of this car only will go up. The car is in great condition, go up to $100,000. So if you can find one for really cheap and restored, it's a really good investment. The next car is Toyota Celica Supra that was in production from 1982 through 1986. It was the beginning of the legend as we know it now, Toyota Supra. It was not the most powerful car. It only had 2.8 liter engine that produced 178 horsepower, which was enough, and it was a pleasure to drive. But what was really attracting people is the new design, which was well ahead of its time, with its pop-up headlights and almost flat rear window. And the interior was just something out of this world. It looked like a concept car. Those front seats were often stolen because they were so different from any other car. So it's really interesting car, and there is still time to time you can see one on the road just because maybe it is Toyota. So it's really worth looking for one and getting as the future classic. The next car is Toyota MR2 that was in production from 1985 through 1989. It had all of the parts of a successful performance car. It had 2 seats, mid-mounted engine, and a low price. It was also light, with the weight of 2,400 pounds, and 5-speed manual transmission. It was powered by a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder engine that was sourced from Toyota Corolla and slightly improved by Yamaha. Early versions produced 112 horsepower. Later they added supercharger and it started producing 145 horsepower. It is a very interesting car. It was very successful in 80s. It was the beginning of this reliable Toyota. So it's something really worth looking for, as it is definitely a future classic. And the next car is Mercedes 300 Turbo Diesel station wagon that was in production from 1987 through 1996. And what is so special about station wagons from Mercedes is that in the late 70s and early 80s, they were this first and perfect combination of luxury, practicality, efficiency. And if we will take the car from 1987, for example, it had a 3-liter engine, 6-cylinder that produced 143 horsepower and a lot of torque. And what is so attractive is that its efficiency. It was taking around 30 miles per gallon, which can easily compete with the station wagon of our time, but there was nothing like this back in the 80s. And it started to come up more and more in the, after 2000s, when the oil price started going up. People realized that those cars are so beautiful and they have this efficient turbo diesel engine that lasts forever for 1 million miles. So they even took them as daily drivers. But the good thing, there's many of those cars and you can start looking for one starting around $500. That's all I have for you today, guys. Check out my channel for my other videos, and I'm sure there's more cars that you can add to this list, so please do it in the comment section below. But for now, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.